What I do know about the history of Lovejoy is the district began in 1917, of course, since this is the centennial celebration. And it started off as a very rural school district. Students came here kind of in the off-season of growing crops and harvesting crops, and so the school year was very short, and it evolved, of course, into it being more of a full-time or year-round school. Students would go here up until the 6th grade, and then originally they went to the McKinney secondary schools, and then it transferred over to Allen secondary schools. And about 13, 14 years ago, I believe it was, students, when they finished up 6th grade here, we began our own secondary program, and that's when Mr. Moore came over and became the superintendent of Lovejoy schools.
Well, I think that it's our mission that Lovejoy will forever be a district that's second to none. When I interviewed for the superintendent's position 12 years ago, one of the board members asked me, how would I know if I'd been successful? And the answer I gave was, well, actually, I'd have to come back 10 years after I left to see if Lovejoy had stayed on the same path for continued excellence. And so it's really, I think that the most important thing is that we continue to be a district who's willing to do whatever it takes to provide our kids the very best education possible.
Well, gosh, I mean, I'll go back to when I started in 1979 in this little red schoolhouse. At the time, it was literally the red schoolhouse and one little row of classes behind me. We didn't have a gym. We didn't have a cafeteria that could seat very many kids. There weren't very many. So if you go back from 100 years all the way through to the late 70s, you usually had about a classroom full of kids. And it wasn't very, very many. And so what was a big deal was when we built a gym in the early 80s. That was a big deal. We used to be out in PE and recess when it was 106 degrees or 100 degrees out on the blacktop out back. So that was a big deal, a big change for us. Now I'll tell you what stayed the same is the quality of schools, right? And that's even gotten better. But even when I was young and even before myself and after, Lovejoy was always known as a great school district, had great teachers that really cared, a really great community that really rallied behind the school. There's always been a lot of pride in being a Lovejoy leopard. So that piece has never changed, and I don't think it ever will.
Well, I think what's unique about Lovejoy is that there's always been a focus on excellence. So whether we were a small rural district in the red schoolhouse or as we've grown into the district that we are today, the standards have always been high, and those standards have always been set by really the parents and the community and the students that walk through our doors every day. And then the district as a whole has just really aligned those standards and created a mission that really expects excellence in all that we do.
I think it's really important for us to develop good character with our kiddos. Part of our mission and our vision is, and we kind of kid and said, it's developing the heart and the mind. And so I really truly believe that we are very intentional about teaching character with fidelity.
So when I came, there was a very strong character education program in place. And I think we have continued to emphasize those character values, teach them, enforce them, advocate for them, and model them on a daily basis. We have never wavered from that. Our kids really have started to internalize those character traits in their words and their actions. That's something that I think has been just a huge part of creating the culture that we have here at Lovejoy.
Things are changing just from a technology standpoint and just the changes in the last 10 years that we've seen in education. So in 10 years, I think the building obviously will be the same, and students will be the same, and teachers will be the same, but I really think some of the educational experiences that students are having will be different, and I think a lot of that has to do with technology and the new things that are coming out and the new opportunities that we have to help give kids a better education.